Hello there everyone, my name is Nathan Birch. Today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about control flow. So I left this in here to show the 5 most common types of things that can change control flow. Remembering that control flow in programming is the order in which code gets executed. It's as simple as that. So when we read a book, we generally read top to bottom, left to right, page after page. In programming, it's very similar. So let me show you guys a quick file here. Let me bring this over. All right, so I want to show you guys a couple of things. So this right here, notice I have a function. I have just some declarative statements right here. I have an if-else statement, a while statement, some more random statements here, and then a try-catch block. All right, so I'm going to save this. And I right-clicked here and I hit open with live server. And so it is actually right here. Now, if I right-click on the page and hit inspect, then my developer tools pop up. And what I'm going to show you guys today will kind of walk us through how this control flow works. So I'm going to put a breakpoint right here. And what this will do is as soon as the code gets run, this will actually pause right here, and we can step through the code and see how this code is actually running. So I'm going to hit refresh. And notice this nice blue line stopped right here. Interesting. So I had it on line 9, but it skipped over all of this because this function hasn't been called yet. So there's our first control flow modifier, or our control structure, okay, is a function, okay? This code will get run when this function gets called, which will be way down here. We'll look at that in a sec. These, however, will just get run top to bottom, left to right, the way that we would expect. So A equals 20. You can see if I hover over A, it shows 20. You can see B is now defined as well, C, and D. Okay, so we have these 4 things, and we just are going top to bottom. Now look at this. Is D greater than 1,000? That is false. D is currently 300, okay? And so I'm going to go to our next step here, and notice how it skipped this line of code. Okay, another change in our control flow because of this if statement. This equated to be false, and so we skipped it and we went into our else statement. Okay, then we have our first console log. Okay, 300 is not a really big number. Okay, D 300 plus space is not a really big number. That's what we just logged. All right, next up, we have while D is less than 1,000. Okay, so D currently is 300. All right, now what this very, very simple while loop is going to do, we only have 3 lines of code here. This plus plus is the exact same as if I said D equals D plus 1. Okay, so if D's at 300, after line 29 gets executed once, D will then be 301. And then that will continue for as long as this equates to be true. Okay, so D currently is 300. Is that less than 1,000? Yes. Okay, well, D just incremented. Now D is 301. Is that less than 1,000? Yes. Okay, and then we keep on going. So look at this control flow. Well, this is going to go about 700 times until D is equal to 1,000. You can see now D is 325. Okay, big change in our control flow here. All right, now I'm going to put another breakpoint right here because I've no desire to hit my button another like 1,200 times. And I'm going to hit a button to jump down here. And so it just ran that a bunch more. D is now equal to 1,000. Okay, now look at this. Our code recognizes this as a function, so it's going to call check number size, which was up here. And this code hasn't run yet, remember. And it's going to pass in the variable D, which holds the value of 1,000. So I'm going to put a breakpoint here just in case so you guys can see it stop in there. So I'm going to hit my button here, and then it'll check. So we passed in that 1,000 in there, and it says is num greater than 1,000. It says false. So we're going to return false. It's really close to a big number, but it's not quite there yet. I'm going to put a breakpoint here just in case, just so we can see where these go. I hit my button to go to the next step, and it ended. Okay, oh, there it is. There we go. All right, jump down here, so return this. Number is big bool is false because this returned false. Okay, so notice how we're jumping all over the place here, right? This repeated 700 times. This function call jumped us up to here. It returned false, which assigned it false to number is big bool. And then we'll go ahead and print that to the console. D is a big number, false. Okay. Now we have our try-catch block. A try-catch block basically allows us to check for errors without breaking our program. This is not a real thing. That is a very intentional typo, but there is no such thing as console.log with 4 L's. Okay, so if I try to run this, it would regularly throw an error, but instead right here, it's in this like safety wrapper, if you will. And so now I'm going to go ahead and just print that error message to the console. It says console is not defined. All right, so that is a very simple example of all of the different control structures modifying our default control flow.